Business owner is never simple. And today I'm going to talk about a situation that definitely is on the extreme of the more difficult things to deal with while you're running your own business. So stay with me. We're talking about dealing with difficult situations when you, the business owner, are the one that's at fault. So thank you guys for joining me. I am Tanika D'Souza, the 100K Challenge Chick, and my role is as a life and business coach to empower you to your first 100K in business revenue. So that's what I do. That's what I'm all about. And this topic that I'm sharing today, as a lot of the topics are, stem from a question that we tackled in the 100K Society, which is my business coaching community. So we were having our weekly accountability session. We talked about what everybody was working on. And then the question comes up, how do they deal with this difficult situation? Because essentially they're, the business owner, they're the one that's at fault. So I have 3 things that I'm going to share with you guys that you need to do in order to handle the situation. So let's just jump in. Number 1 is own the mistake. If you're the business owner, you have a client, you've disappointed them, you didn't meet a deadline, whatever it is, own the mistake. So that means pick up the phone, send the email, address it, but don't just say, oh my gosh, I can't get this done, or this is falling apart, this is a major disaster, and then leave it like that. Your first responsibility is to own the mistake. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about if you were the customer, if you were the client, and somebody messed up something, your order or the service or whatever it was. Don't you feel like at minimum they just need to own that they did it and then let you know what's going on? So that's why I'm telling you, as a business owner, that's your first step, is to own it. If you have a business coach, absolutely discuss this with your coach so that you can get some advice on how to say these words, what approach you should take. But your first step is always going to be owning to the client that you have made a mistake. So that's step 1. Step 2, set some realistic expectations for fixing it. Sometimes you're in that difficult situation because the expectations up front were not realistic. You set a timeline that was too tight. You said you can do something that was outside of what your skill set was. So in order to move forward, first own the mistake, but then second, set realistic expectations based on where you are and what you are actually capable to do. Have that conversation with the client so that, one, you can set the realistic expectation on what's going to get done, when it's going to get done, how it's going to get done, and make sure that they agree with you. Okay, so that's number 2. Set some realistic expectations. And then finally, number 3, finish. Finish the project. No one hired you because they didn't want a result. So make sure that you finish your job to give your client the result that they paid you for. I promise you, your client would rather that they get their result a little later than they expected than to never get the result at all. So it's up to you to, one, own the mistake, to set realistic expectations moving forward, but to finish the project. So I'm going to share with you some ways that you can deal with this based on stories that I have had to tackle. I'll put it that way. So for the longest time, I owned a bakery, and you can imagine I'm doing custom cakes, I'm doing custom orders. There's not a lot of stuff. There's not a lot of room for error. And you guys watch those cake shows online, and these people are building these massive cakes in a 1-hour TV show. I promise you, it takes way more than an hour, right? So one day I had this newer client, and he was coming to pick up a cake for his wife's birthday party that he planned, and the party was somewhere else. I didn't know all the details. I just knew he was coming in to my shop to pick up the cake, so it had to be ready at a certain time. Well, I run a business at that point, was in like the height of my business. So I have multiple locations, multiple custom orders, multiple designers. Like everything is just a lot going on. So I was personally handling decorating about 3 cakes at the same time. Literally, it was like stack, 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 filling, filling, filling. Top, 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 right? So his cake was a specialty cake. I will never forget this, but he ordered it was a lemon strawberry cake, and I used fresh strawberries in between lemon cake, or either it was strawberry cake with some I can't remember, but the point was it was fresh fruit. And so for the fact that I put the first cake down, the fresh fruit in the middle, and I put the second cake on top, and I did not reinforce it. I put no icing. I didn't do the stuff I should do to like seal that cake or put it in the fridge. I didn't do any of that because I was working on 3 cakes at one time. When I looked back over at that cake, the top of the cake started just literally falling apart. It fell off. And he had a cake flavor that I don't make all the time. So it's not like I had a backup cake or cake that was going to get decorated next that I can just use one of those layers on this cake. Literally, his cake needed to be made again. So here I am, close to the deadline. My client's going to walk through the door, and I have no cake to give him. So when he came, so first I tried to call him because that could prevent him from driving all the way to my location to find out that there was no cake. I called, he didn't answer. Common for a lot of people because they don't answer phone numbers that don't work. So when he got there, I left my kitchen and went to the front and talked to him myself. I owned a mistake. I said, "Hey, I am so sorry. Your cake broke. Like I am making it, and the top layer of the cake just fell apart." I set realistic expectations. I said, "Look, I can piece that top back together. It's not going to be the best when you cut it. It's not going to be the best for presentation, but it is going to be faster. Otherwise, I have already put a backup cake in the oven, but it's going to take this amount of time to bake, this amount of time to cool, and then I still have to decorate your cake. So, which would you prefer? Would you want me to just like do the band aid job, or do you want me to finish this cake properly?" And then I had to set a new delivery um, thing for him because he came to pick it up en route of other things. So now I need to put a driver on the road, which turned into being me, to deliver this cake to him at his party because he couldn't come back. So I owned it. It was going to cost me a little more because now I have to drive to your venue, which happened to be on my way home anyway, but I had to get it there in time for him to be able to use it for his party. I will tell you that was a hard conversation because he was a little bit upset that he came to get the cake and he had all the stuff. His list is now messed up. But the reality is I can't there was nothing I could do, and I needed him to make a decision about how he wanted me to fix this problem. It was absolutely my fault, but I still needed his buy-in on how to fix it. So he chose for me to give him the cake in the proper form and to deliver it to the party. So I did definitely have enough time to finish it, close my shop, do everything I needed to do, and then also get his cake to him. So I was realistic about what I could also do. And then I finished. I delivered. He was so appreciative. I definitely made put some little extras in there for them, but he was so appreciative that I fixed it. I will tell you from that point on, I did every cake for that family. I did all the birthdays, all the kids' parties. I think they were already married, so I did anniversaries. I did everything. I was their baker for life because I owned it and I always made sure I delivered a great product. The thing I'll tell you is, even if your client is a little bit disappointed that you are the one at fault, when you own it and take responsibility and you fix that situation for them, they will appreciate that. So many business owners just, you know, try to blame things on the client, or show the client all the things that they did wrong that caused the business owner to be at fault. But if you just own the situation, take responsibility, set some realistic expectations, and finish, that client not only might trust you a little more because they know how you're going to handle yourself in difficult situations, but they can also refer you. So don't ever leave the job undone. Don't ever decide, well, they're already pissed, so just forget it. I can't do it. Say what you can do, set the expectation. If it means, I'm in way over my head and I must give you a refund, do it, but fix the situation. Don't run from it. It's not going to go away. And it totally just is your responsibility to man up or to own up and to say what you did wrong. So, if you guys have had some difficult situations and you found some really great solutions, share it with us in the comments. Otherwise, I hope these 3 points helped you guys to know that mistakes happen. Sometimes it's going to be absolutely your fault, and there are ways that you can resolve this without like cowering out. Okay, you're not perfect. Nobody expects you to be perfect, and that's totally fine. But just get the project finished and be honest in the process. Hope that was helpful. Thank you guys for joining me. If you're watching on my page or anything else, subscribe, like, follow, whatever it is, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining me. Bye.